Testing. And I'm supposed to be sitting here.
The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why they actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations, that's forming a phonic.
Good morning and welcome to the Blueprint Podcast. This is Patrice Wallace Moore, and today I am your host. Excited about being here today on behalf of my husband, Lowe's Moore Jr., who is the founder of and the originator of, the creative director of the Blueprint Podcast. And we're going to get started. We're excited about what we have today. This is a first for us where we're going to have an opportunity to talk to you, or should I say, talk to our host, Lowe's Moore. And I am excited. This is the second time I'm actually hosting the show. The first time I hosted the show was about 2020 when my husband was on his way from out of town. I think he was at a King's Movement conference somewhere in Alabama, and his plane got delayed, and I was interviewing my goddaughter, Danielle Owens, and that was my first hosting experience. Woo woo, go me. So today is my second one. I'm excited about doing this show. There's a really busy day going on for us, a lot of things happening, but today we're excited about this show. We're excited about everything that we're going to do today. So as Lowe's would say, he likes to drop the pebble, which is actually a basketball, in the pond, right? And so this pebble is a basketball, and we hope to have a ripple effect. That something you hear today might cause you to have a ripple effect. Tell somebody else and tell somebody else. So here's our ball. We're going to drop it. You hear it. Oh, it's rolling down probably the uneven floor. Who knows? All right. So thank you, everybody. We're going to get started really quickly because there's a lot to do today. We're going to start off today, as Lowe's does always, with our book of the week. Now, this book of the week is a special book of the week. It is written by none other than our founder, our creator, Lowe's Moore. It is called Lowe's Moore, From the Boys and Girls Club to the NBA, the Lowe's Moore Chronicles, the Lowe's Moore Chronicles. And what I love about this book is I had the opportunity to edit it, so I know everything inside of it. And it really is a great reading, especially for some young people that are looking to go into professional sports, go into the NBA, anything, the NFL, entertainment, because really this is an opportunity for people to understand how important it is to stay on the narrow road. And I'm not going to tell you much more about it because I'm going to let him tell you more about it when he comes to sit with us today. All right, our word of the week. I'm sure you're not surprised. It's blueprint. Blueprint is our word of the week for the day. I say word of the week, not the word of the day, but it's blueprint. Blueprint is really a plan or a pattern that something is designed, and the blueprint is the reason why we have this podcast. The blueprint is really because the book that Lowe's wrote, and he'll tell you more about that, was called The Blueprint by Pauletta Washington, when she did the foreword with her husband Denzel. So I'm so excited about talking about the blueprint on the blueprint. So that's pretty awesome, isn't it? All righty. Let me see, because I want to make sure I have all my stuff in order. I don't want to mess something up, but I see my movie and my music, and I'm looking for my affirmation. But our music and movie of the week is Revelation. Revelation is actually something from Fresh Start Christian Church is actually recording live this week. And in their recording live, it's being held at the Fresh Start Christian Center in Mount Vernon, New York. And the title of their album is called Revelation. And so there's so many people coming out. Yesterday, Gavin was there. Um, Naomi Rain is their worship pastor. Apostle Morris Coleman is their pastor. And so we're looking forward to a great time. I went there last night. It was crowded and it was warm, very warm. Our movie of the week is called Blueprint. It's about a young man who was reestablishing his life after some legal issues in Chicago, in the south side of Chicago. So, we're grateful for that. I did not put up our affirmation, but it says the blueprint for success is inside of you. If you leave it there, it'll do nothing. And so, what we want is for the blueprint of success, instead of being inside of you, it actually comes out of you. What's the point of having a blueprint for success and you do nothing with it? I always think about my friend and my husband's friend, Terry Williams, when she said, if I bore a hole through the path of success and I get there before you, I'm obligated to reach my hand back and to pull you through. And so I think it's important that sometimes we've got to reach our hand back and pull others through. If you have the blueprint for success, it's important for you to make sure you share that with others. So I am going to move on really quickly to our person of the week. And so it'll be no surprise to most of you. It is Pauletta Washington. The reason why it's Pauletta is because of Pauletta that we have the name The Blueprint. And so again, I'll let Lowe's talk to you about that. But isn't she a gorgeous lady? I love Pauletta. I remember one year we were doing having an event at the Boys and Girls Club, and all these women were like all over Denzel, like they were all over Denzel. And I said to her, "Girl, how is it that you can handle that?" That's me and Pauletta right there. That's when I was young and cute. Now I'm getting a little thick and older, but that was a long time ago during The Preacher's Wife. But I tell you, I said to her, all these women all over your husband. She said, "Girl, please, they can hang all over him, but when he comes home to my house." She is not playing. He loves her and she loves him, and they're a great couple. They're married the same exact years as Lowe's and I, 40 years, and they have 4 kids, 2 girls and 2 boys. I mean, like a money earning Mount Vernon. We've got a family with together we have 80 years of marriage and 8 kids. 4 girls and 4 boys. You can't even make that up. But we're so grateful for Pauletta and all that she has done to make the boys, make the blueprint a success. And we are really keeping our fingers crossed that one day, we will be able to get Pauletta, on the show. We're hoping that, we're getting some folks right now. We don't see too many folks on, but we're hoping we can get some folks to join in. But if not, we're going to be re-airing this on Sunday night at 7:00. We'll be able to kind of upload it again, and people can make their comments then. So just act like it's 7:00, okay? And we'll get some comments now. But if not, when Sunday night comes, continue to comment. We'll probably be watching it and can respond to your comments then. So great job. Today we want to recognize some birthdays. Curtis, happy birthday, Kurt. This is Lowe's his baby brother, and his birthday was on the 24th of October. He is a Knights fan. He is a Jets fan. He is a Pittsburgh fan. He is a Knicks fan. He is a fan. Grandfather of 2 grandsons, and the father of 2 daughters, and he is really a pop and just an awesome guy. So happy birthday, Kurt. We want to say happy birthday to our son-in-law, Steve. Look at that cute little face over there on the left. I think our little grandbaby's got a little bit of that face going on, and so happy birthday, Steve. We love you. We want to say also happy birthday to Stony. Stony is our son's godfather. I had to put that picture up there with LeBron because he was so excited that he was taking a picture with LeBron. And then that's him with his beautiful wife, Cass. She did my hair. Yep, all that. She's, the owner of Royal Oats beauty salon in Mount Vernon, New York. So shout out to Talon and Cass for the great work you guys do over there. And finally, we want to say happy second birthday to Mooney. That's our grandbaby. That's our son Jamal. Mooney, her name is Jade. We put Mooney up here, but her name is Jade Riley Johnson. Jade Riley Johnson. And we're so happy. We don't get to see them anymore because they moved to Atlanta. But we love them so, so very much. So we want to say, so many things were going on this week. Today, something special is happening. Your girl is getting an installation going on as the assistant pastor at the Emmanuel Pentecostal Faith Temple at 12 noon in Mount Vernon, New York. Our Bishop Kimmy Covington Johnson is going to be preaching. The senior pastor is Elder Derek Adams, and I'm excited about this. So come on out and join us if you get a shot. Hopefully you will. And last but not least, the Wiz is coming to Mount Vernon, New York. Mount Vernon, New York. The Revelators Dance Troupe is presenting The Wiz on Saturday, November 18th at 5 p.m. and Sunday, November 19th, also at 5 p.m. Our tickets are $25 per adult, $10 for senior citizens. It's going to be held at the Doles Community Center, 250 South 6th Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York, 10550. You may get your tickets on Cash App at $Revelators or PayPal at www.revelatorsinc.com. We're so grateful for Elder Marion Archer, who is the founder of the Revelators. I have an opportunity to do the lights and all the background. I'm always so busy, but am excited to do it, and I love it. I saw a comment that came up, and it said, "Happy retirement to Doug." Yeah, my brother-in-law Doug is retiring. I think that he just experienced his last day. And he's worked. He was in the United States Army for years, and then he worked for the military. And so he's a really amazing man. I just love him. He's the kind of every family has like that glue. Like he's the glue because every chance he gets, he wants to have the family get-togethers. He doesn't know how to host a simple dinner. Like every time there's a dinner at his house, like 50 people can come eat because that's just how Doug is. But he's a pretty awesome guy, and so we're excited about what is getting ready to take place. So I moved through that, I think, relatively quickly, 15 minutes. And I wanted to do that because I want to give our guest, our amazing guest, plenty of opportunity to tell his story today because he takes his time telling the stories of everybody else. So why don't you look at these two videos? I'm going to play them back to back because I want you to get to know him from two levels. One on a business level and the other one in just to see what his basketball career was like. Just a little snippet of these two things. Enjoy them, and then we'll come back. And when we come back, our guest will join us, and you will be not surprised because we've been advertising it, but you will be excited to hear his story. So let us go into the highlights of Lowe's More.
Known as one of the most entertaining players to ever set foot on the Coliseum floor, Lowe's Moore dazzled the crowd as a basketball player from 1977 to 80. The Mount Vernon, New York native is only one of 11 Mountaineers to score more than 1,600 career points. As a standout guard, Moore scored 20 points or more 37 times, which ranks 6th in school history.
Lowe's Moore, a magical player whose tricks with the ball earned him All-America honors as a sophomore. At 6'1", he can do things others must dream about. And just a touch of Lowe's Moore magic brings the crowd to its feet and the team together. Call him one of college basketball's premier guards.
I always play to the situation. Like, whatever happens, if a guy passes the ball and I happen to steal it, I play to that situation, you know. And if a guy's going to run up on me too fast, I won't dunk it. I'll just lay it up. You know, but if he doesn't, I'll dunk it. It's like I'm playing, reacting all the time. I'm not thinking on one specific thing, but I'm thinking of a whole idea, like a freedom type thing. You know, I like my talent to be free, where I can play freely, you know, without putting any type of mechanical things with it. The dunk draws people. It feels good. It feels good for me, and I know it feels good for the home crowd, and wherever I may be, it draws people. The dunk will bring some fans to your side. If I just leave the memory of being an exciting ball player and what the fans are looking for, then I'll be happy. That's been my true tradition all the way down from high school. I do things that other people don't do. I try things that other people don't try. It's just like I'm passing through, you know, and I want to leave a little saying with them or whatever, you know, that make them happy or touch their heart.
This man is a great person, and I would hope that all athletes could model themselves after him.
Welcome to the podcast, Lowe's Moore. This is so exciting. I get an opportunity to interview you. I love that last statement. Wouldn't it be amazing if everybody's child grows up to be like Lowe's Moore? That is such a blessing to hear. So that was Coach Amick.
Yeah, Coach Jim Amick.
Yeah, rest his soul, right?
Yeah,
he passed away not too long ago. But Lowe's, it's so exciting that we're having you as the guest on the podcast today and me as the host. Isn't that cool? So we're excited about you. You know what? This has been, you've talked about it often, about this has been your dream, your vision. You talk a little bit about, you know, the vision that you had, and we're going to digress in a minute, but because blueprint was our word for the day, we talked about blueprint of success being on the inside, but we wanted to get it on the outside. You know, talk a little bit about the blueprint and what that, how that came about.
Well, I guess, I mean, you made the statement earlier that, during the forward of my book, many may not know the story, but I had been trying to get Denzel to do the forward to my book. And we actually were coming up on a date, which we had projected was to have the book out during the NBA All-Star break, and the All-Star game was in New York City. And I hadn't heard from Denzel. and I was in the process, about a couple of weeks before, I was in the process to go to a reunion at West Virginia University. And we were like 2 weeks away, and I get a call from Denzel. And he said, the Lord told me to do your forward to the book. And I was like, wow, when? He said, this weekend. I was like, oh, okay. I was supposed to go to West Virginia, but of course I canceled that.
I bet you did.
I canceled that, and you know, he hung up and he said we're gonna meet on a Saturday. I get a call back about 5 minutes later, and he said, "Hey, Pauletta wants to be a part of it." I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Do you have anything that you can share with her? She's in New York." And I was said, "By the way, I do." And he said, "Can you drop it off?" And so I drove down that evening, which was a Thursday. I drove down that evening and left it at the you know, their home in New York, down in the city, and she got it. And so on that Saturday, when we were doing the forward, writing forward, taping it, all those kinds of things, Pauletta says to me, "Hey, I read this. This is like a blueprint, you know." And she was
Yes.
like, everybody, you know, from kids, people in entertainment and sports, they should read this, and it would be a guide. So I was like, wow. So when I was retiring from the Boys and Girls Club, and one of the part of the things that when I was doing my vision plan, my vision board, I put everything down in that. It was a question of, was I going to retire at the Boys and Girls Club? I mean, and I didn't know I was going to retire at the Boys and Girls Club, but you know, I was on this big thing about vision, planning, and I was thinking about, like, if there's another chapter, if there are other chapters, then what are those chapters? What goes into those chapters? So of course, you know, my kids always tease me because
Communication.
I'm a communications major, you know. So they always like, I'm a communications major, you know. So it had to be around communication. You know, I enjoy conversations. I enjoy all aspects of communication, and you know, so as I create that list on what communication would look like, from getting out, speaking, consulting, all those kind of things like that. At the bottom of it was the podcast, right? At the
That's
very
amazing that it
bottom.
was at the bottom.
Yeah, somebody just happened to mention to me. I didn't really know what a podcast was. I didn't know what a blog was. Of course, we knew what Facebook and all those things were. But then, you know, I decided to retire, and then the pandemic hit,
Oh, that pen.
and you know, the scripture says, "And the first shall be last, and the last shall be first." Well, the last thing on my list was the podcast, and it became first because that was the only thing during the pandemic you could actually do during the pandemic, is a podcast. Nobody could go out, talk to each other, you know. So it gave me my first vehicle, my first opportunity to experience communication. And when I was kind of talking about it with you, and I was trying, the gentleman who was helping me, who gave me the idea in the first place, he was helping us out, you know, to do it. And he said, "What's going to be your name of the podcast?" And it automatically just clicked, the blueprint.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And so if I could say this,
Sure.
when you look back
Your
at,
show.
yeah, when you look back at it, and most of my presentations, particularly with young people, it always starts out with the New York Knicks. I always say, you know, I hope you get to experience this in your lifetime. And they say, what? The New York Knicks won an NBA championship, right? And because for me, that was my paradigm shift.
Right.
That was the change of my sound and my frequency and my vibration in my life. Because when the Knicks won the championship, I wanted to be a lot of things. You know, every time my teacher would ask me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And whatever I seen the night before or a few days before on television, that's what I wanted to be: a doctor, lawyer, teacher. And so when the Knicks won the NBA championship, I realized I had some physical gifts, some speed, some quickness as a young person. And so I just thought automatically I could play in the NBA. And it was literally the only thing that I wrote down. NBA, New York Knicks, tape it under my light. So when I turned off my light at night, that'd be the first thing I would see. And then when I got up in the morning, when the sun rises, the sun's coming through the window, I could see my my vision. I could see my dream, right? Which is what a blueprint is all about. So all your life is always about, you know, do you have a blueprint? Because before you can end a project, you got to start with a blueprint.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because, if anybody knows Lowe's, he also is about strategic planning. Like everything is like, so what is your strategic plan and what are you gonna do? Like he's so into this blueprint and strategic plan, like everything. I remember one time you were like, okay, so this is what we're gonna do with our money, right? We're gonna do this and that. We're gonna have a plan, and I'd be like, bro, like that plan gonna work.
Actually, I thought it was a good plan.
It was, now looking back, it was a good plan.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not,
No,
but
no, y'all listen to this.
no, don't do it. Don't do it.
No, because it may help somebody, right?
All right.
So, I say to my wife, I got a plan, right? And she's like, okay, what's your plan? She always says, okay, what's your plan before she says no. No, I don't think that's a good idea. So I say, we both were working, right? Both working. And so I said, look, we're going to live off one salary, right? And we're going to take the other salary and we're going to save it. You're just going to put it in the bank, right? And we're just going to live off that one salary. And I think we had 2 kids at that time. I don't know for y'all, I thought it was a good plan. I like to think like if we lived off one salary for about 3 to 5 years strategically or 5 to 10 years, where we'd have resources that you can invest and different things property you could buy. Yeah, that's how I think. I'm sorry.
I believe that was a great idea. And I'm sorry I wasn't all in. That's all I can say. I'm sorry. So you know what? I'm going to digress a little bit because you do this on a regular basis. Let's talk about, and I'm not talking about the third, but let's talk about little Lowe's. When you were little, when you were younger, where tell us a little bit about your family of origin and and how you've transitioned over the years.
Well, I don't know if many people. I've been in Mount Vernon so long, so people realize that Lowe's was born in Mount Vernon, and the reality, I wasn't born in Mount Vernon. I was born in Plymouth, North Carolina.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then my mom and dad moved to Mount Vernon when I was about probably around 4 or 5 years old. But I always remember. I don't remember. You go back to that picture. I don't remember it. It's just what my grandmother said to me, or my mother said to me, or my Aunt Joyce said to me. When you was born, you lost all your hair, and that's that bottom picture. I think my hair is gone. That bottom picture. All my hair.
You got all your hair now.
Yeah. My hair was gone, and then the doctor said I was gonna be bald. I was never gonna grow any hair, and then I don't know what my grandmother did, what they rubbed on my head. But whatever they did, my hair came back.
Them grandmamas,
yeah.
They have them like those, what do you call them things? Yeah. Home remedies and stuff.
Yeah, and whatever they did, man, it's still black.
Listen, that's the thing that gets me. Is like, I'm like, you 6 years older than me. Like, I got all of this great, but not right this second because I got rid of it yesterday. But on the most,
Yeah, no, that was a good time. I remember. I just remember that was my special time, being in Plymouth and growing up every summer, going back to Plymouth, North Carolina.
I like this picture. Like when I first saw this picture, I have to tell you, the first time I saw this picture, I was like, that is the cutest face. I see your mama all in that face, right? But what's so cute about it, and I see Riley in that face. I see like a whole bunch of people in that face, all the little nieces and nephews and stuff. But I hung this up when we were having Michelle on the wall.
Yeah.
I hung up one of me and one of you.
Yeah.
And I said, my baby gonna look like one of these two. And she looks like that right there.
And you see the curls in the hair?
Oh yeah, that's where they got that good hair from. I know that. Look at that. That's just as cute as you wanna be. Wait, I'm gonna go one more. I had to just do a little something in there. Look at that.
Yeah.
So I had to add that. So your older sister on the left, and then the four musketeers, right?
Yeah.
You, and it was funny. It's you, Kurt, Doug, and Tracy. But actually, Doug
Curtis.
is older than Kurt.
Curtis. Yeah, yeah. Doug is older than Curtis, but Curtis was bigger than Doug.
Was?
Still is. Yeah. And bigger mean taller. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, no, no. I have to say that those moments. I mean, every moment that I had as a young person, from North Carolina to Mount Vernon, New York, still special. I mean, still special moments when you think about those, and you think about, like, we didn't have everything, right? We didn't have everything, but we didn't know that, right? Because my mom provided, right? My mom provided us and treated us and took care of us like we had the world,
Yeah.
you know.
She still does that.
Yeah, still does.
You know, it's time for us to treat her like she is the world, you know,
Yeah,
that
no.
she is, you know, because she's pretty, she really is dedicated to, to her children, and she's a pretty awesome mom.
Yeah, let me just from my grandparents to my aunts, uncles, man, it's just all of the memories are just special. All every special.
There you go. I'm gonna
Yeah,
throw that up. Yeah, see.
yeah, that's my mom, my dad, my grandmother, my grandfather. My grandfather was like, I couldn't wait to get to North Carolina to see my grandmother, but most of all to see my grandfather, because he was like a real hero to me.
Yeah, I was glad I had an opportunity to meet him. He actually passed away 6 months after we got married.
Yeah.
But the time that we actually who does this, y'all? I just want to tell you, who goes and spends part of their honeymoon with their grandparents?
We did.
We did. That would be us.
Yeah.
The second week of our honeymoon, we were in Plymouth, North Carolina, with James Earl and Martha Jean.
Yeah. And I tell you, when I told my grandfather was a lover of baseball, and I used to spend a lot of time with him watching baseball games on the little black and white TV. I love that TV, and watching him and listening to him talk about baseball and with him to watch baseball games.
Oh goodness! I'll bring that back later.
And yeah, and then when I came back one summer, he watched me. I tell you, this was humiliating. My grandfather used to throw baseballs with me, and I remember playing in I think the minor league or little league, one of them, and I was pitching, and he happened to be up. My grandmother and grandfather happened to be up in Mount Vernon for that time, and he was excited to see me play baseball, and we were throwing out in front of the projects, throwing balls back and forth, and then we go to the game, and it was my first pitching experience, and I end up losing 18 to nothing.
That's when you realized that baseball wasn't your
No. I mean, it was a thrill of victory and agony of defeat, and
I would say that's a lot of agony. 18 agonies.
yeah. And they took me out and I cried, of course. But on the way, when my grandfather left, he was like, man, just hang in there. You're just starting, like that. And I was like, okay. And my next pitching experience was we won the game 18 to nothing.
And did you call him and say, Granddaddy?
Yeah,
we won.
Yeah. I did better. He said, I knew you would,
Sometimes you don't really understand the power of success until you've experienced the agony of failure. That's why it talks about the thrill of victory as well as the agony of defeat. And the thrill of victory is greater once you've experienced the agony of defeat, right? Because you've waited. I remember when my first year coaching, and we were on the precipice of winning the gold ball, and Mount Vernon winning the gold ball, and somehow or another Ossining defeats us in double
Yeah,
overtime.
definitely.
And Danny Ricky slid across the floor on his belly. It's in the center court. I was so upset. But what I didn't understand is that he had lost the gold ball 3 times. And it was such a relief for him after that game. So he slid across that floor, not as an insult to us, but because he was experiencing the thrill of victory after those agonies of defeat.
Yeah, true.
You know, of course, when I won, I didn't want to be like that. I wanted to be a little classier, but you know, and plus rolling he had a lot more belly to roll with, you know, than I did. But I'm just going to run a couple of more of your family pictures. This picture is all 4 of you guys with your dad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, my dad, I mean, we didn't always have the best experiences, but as I state in my book, right, in one of my first chapter in the book, I talk about functions and dysfunction. And I was actually sharing it at a presentation I did at Alexander Hamilton High School on last week, right? I was talking about function and dysfunction in terms of family and being the first part of my book, because everybody has good things in their family and everybody has negative things in their family, right? And so, but yet they're still our family, right? And for me, you know, whatever dysfunction we was having or we were experiencing, you know, ultimately I still love my dad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So and
By the time we got married,
yeah,
yo,
I
he was like
he kind of
best,
recovered
man.
from all, you kind of recovered from all, not all, all the things, I just say that he did a wonderful job. Not necessarily with us because we didn't have that experience. The experience was difficult, but most importantly, when we had kids,
Oh yeah.
the
Granddaddy
kind
was.
of grandfather he was so amazing, and so, and then
And
you preach.
he also was an amazing father-in-law. I have to
Yes,
say.
yeah.
Father-in-law, yes.
Well, and I mean, in your sermon on forgiveness last week, that was the one thing in my when I preached my trial sermon, the ability to forgive. I was able to forgive my dad, and so what people don't understand about forgiveness is that it's not necessarily the thing that sets them free, but it sets you free.
Absolutely.
Right. So when you learn to forgive, forgiveness is so powerful. So
Yeah.
and so we were able to recover some things, and we were able to experience some things and later on in our relationship that we didn't have as young people. But yeah, it all worked out.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. But so you talk about your dad, but you've always talked about these particular individuals that I'm going to post up now because I want you to talk about them.
Well, I guess to you guys right is my Aunt Penny. That's my father's sister, Aunt Penny, and she was amazing. I mean, my mom would tell you on a Friday evening when we were younger, we used to pack us all up, and they lived in Brooklyn, and then we would go to Brooklyn and spend the weekend, and then come back on Sunday, get ready for school. We were always with my Aunt Penny and all her kids, and of course my older sister lived with my grandmother, lived in Brooklyn too.
She's at your Aunt Penny and all her kids.
All her kids.
All her kids. She got a lot of kids.
A lot of kids.
A lot of sons.
A lot of sons.
One daughter.
One daughter. Well, my mom had three boys and one girl. She had probably, I don't know,
8 or 9 boys
and one girl.
Yeah.
So
and then she took more in.
Yeah, she adopted kids too as well. Her and my uncle Aaron, they adopted kids. They were amazing.
We got a chance in that picture. We just saw her.
Yeah.
I think she turned 80. Want to say 81?
Yeah.
I think it was 81. Yeah.
81. Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Now
Now, what about these other ladies?
Well, cause to your, I guess to your right is my Joyce, in the middle is my Dolores, and then there's my mom. I'm calling three the hard way.
Come on now. There ain't no
You
harder
know,
than them three
yeah,
right
yeah,
there,
yeah. They
boy.
were tough. I mean, I used to love to see their interaction. Going down for every Christmas, we'd spend on Christmas as kids with my grandparents in North Carolina, and seeing them, man, interact with each other, even back then and even today, is just so wonderful to see how sisters get along. I can't. They would have to say whether they got along, but they getting along. They get along now, and they were getting along then. Yeah, I still love seeing
I've
them
never
get.
seen them not get along. I
Yeah,
mean, I've been in your family for 40 years. I just never seen, but they got each other's back. If
yeah.
you want to know what siblings and sisters are supposed to be like, I mean, they take care of each other big time, and I love it.
And
I love
they talk to each other every morning. Which is lovely, to stay in contact with each other like that. But they were always going out, man. They dress up, man. They're what they call them things back then. The full outfit. What's
it. I don't know.
Jumpsuits?
Oh,
Remember
it's like,
the
what are you saying
jumpsuits?
right now?
Yeah, yeah. They had the jumpsuits. They put on their jumpsuits. They had their afros, their hair out, and man, they were three the hard way, and they would just next thing leave us with our grandparents, and they go out partying in Plymouth. Probably in a barn or something. I mean, just partying in
No,
Plymouth.
you ain't going there. Well, you know what? Listen, Joyce said, oh no. It was really awesome for me because when I married into your family, I got the privilege of being their niece and daughter. And I mean, I just feel like I got like I said, when you go to the amusement park and you hit that thing and that little thing and it goes up and if
Hits
you
the
hit the
top.
jackpot, it goes ding ding ding.
Yeah.
Like when I married in your family, boom, I hit the jackpot. It went ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
Because they're just I love me. You already know I love your mom, so she already knows it too. So
yeah.
but on Joyce and on Dolores and on Joyce, whatever. When I'm preaching, I get on the phone, call on Joyce, and she sits. I look up, she's sitting there.
Right.
I could be anywhere, and so I just love them. So you got it,
Yeah,
you lucked up with
me
them.
too. And then, you're on the other side, your Uncle Ernie, your Aunt Joan, your Aunt Elaine. I married into that, to your family situation too, man. We had some great times, over there as well. So yeah, it's
Now this picture here, man, I love this picture. It's one of my favorites. It's the five of you with your mom. I think that was Kurt's 50th
50th birthday party.
50th birthday party.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it's so funny because your oldest sister, Tracy and I, because our names are so similar, people always think we're sisters anyway. Tracy and Tracy, it's Tracy and Tracy. That's kind of how it is. But Eveline, man, we would go down south and people down south would think I was a sister.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and her name is Eveline, but they call her Cindy.
Yeah.
And you could be in the grocery store or Belton Towers or whatever down there in Plymouth, North Carolina, and they would see you and think like, "Hey, Sydney," and you realize it's not her, and so yeah, that was pretty interesting. That
What really got me was the day that after she passed away, and her children, her daughter and her son-in-law brought the grandchildren to Doug's house, and the kids came running in the door, right? And I was standing in the kitchen area, and they ran in the door and stopped in their tracks. Their eyes got this big, and they ran outside. They said, "Mima is standing in the kitchen," and they were so shaken. And I said, the TT came in. She goes, "That's not Mima. That's your Aunt Treese." And so later on, Reagan said to me, "Oh, Treese, you look just like my Mima." And it's so crazy. They call her Mima, which is what I call my mom.
Yes.
Right. So there was such a connection there. But I thought that was like the funniest thing is how much people thought that she and I looked alike. And beautiful sister and, beautiful daughter. So we're going to transition to today. You kind of got, your mom and your beautiful family. And then somewhere along the line, you kind of find this chick comes in your life, and talk about that a little bit. Yeah, that lady that came in and disrupted everything.
Well, I don't call it a disruption. Call it a paradigm shift.
Okay, shit. Talk about
Yeah.
the
Well,
shift.
one of the things is that what I had experienced in regards to family. You have choices to make, decisions to make, as a person when you experience things in your life, and I was a big fan because of I was a big fan of marriage,
Yeah.
and I always desired to get married, and so when things was happening in the family, man, there was always a question: do you want to do this? Or because I had made up my mind that that's what I wanted to do. I don't say I was in search for a person, but yeah, I know I desired it, and was trying to be always prepared for when that opportunity presented itself. And of course, you came along.
I came along.
You came along, and it was kind of a, real, real swift, easy transition into a relationship, man. That I kind of we didn't really know each other, but the friendship grew quickly, and it grew into a relationship, and it was great because it was everything that I thought it would be, or the things that you dream about, and in a relationship, and that you wanted to. For me, I wanted to prove. I asked God to prove that that relationships and marriages can work, right? So for 40 years, it's kind of worked because I'm a family guy. I mean, I don't know, number one, God, right? But before God, even though my parents, my grandmother and my mom was trying to keep us in church and keep us in God, and God wasn't necessarily number one, but family was. And as
Right.
long as family was number one, because they had God and family too, so God was there too. So family and God kind of went, you know, together. And so that's what I thought. I think is in most important is number one, having God, having family, and then when you have God, you can make it work. So it says, it talks about the cord, you know, is not three cords are not easily broken. Yeah,
Three
so
stranded cord.
three-stranded cords are not easily broken. So if you want a successful marriage, a successful relationship, it starts with God because He helps you
So I
stay
mean, it,
intertwined.
it doesn't start on the cord because this says it started on the cord.
Well, yeah, we both play basketball, so and then yeah, of course that's a picture before. I think we before we got married or after.
Before, right? Because my name is Patrice Wallace in this.
Yeah, so before we got married, that was a story in the paper, right? And we both love basketball. We both successful in basketball, right? And we both had a good, we were good student athletes,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Student
yeah,
starts first.
yeah, student athlete. Yeah, it was great.
So you got married, you go on, and you end up having this family of four children,
Right,
right?
right, right.
And I'm going to
Blueprint. The
I'm
blueprint
going
is
to
four.
fast forward because I want to really get to the crux of our message, but our point today. But I want to talk about the fact that you raised two boys, two girls, and then we added two boys, additional Omar and Jamal, right? And so, but talk about what parenthood was for you. What did that mean? Because and listen, everybody, I want you to understand something is that the blueprint talks about the 7 spheres of influence, and we're going to get into that later, but family is one of them. And so that's why we're really emphasizing family today, because that's exactly what the blueprint is all about. It's the blueprint for family. So, you talked about some of the issues that you might have experienced growing up, with your dad, but the great, relationship with your grandparents and your mom and your aunties. But when you become a father, what was that like for you?
Man, I tell you, when when we became parents and I became a father, I mean, it was one of those transitions. I mean, another paradigm shift, because you go from thinking, before you get married, you think about you,
Right.
right? It's you. What are you going to accomplish? Where are you going to go? And then when we get married, it's a paradigm shift. Now it's not about you. Now you got a teammate, right? So now we're teammate, we're working together. We got to figure this thing out, because the bottom line in a team is that the results is that you need to win, you need to be successful, you need to be happy, you need, all those things come in it. And then all of a sudden when you have children, now you're making an adjustment. It's not just trying to protect you and provide and so forth and so on, but now you got little ones that
Yes.
they come in your life, and they weren't there before, so they weren't important, right? And then all of a sudden they're there, and then you're thinking like, man, this is the most precious thing in life, and you're responsible for them. I took that very seriously, and in my decisions, from my transition from being an athlete, a basketball player, into thinking about what I was going to do next, was predicated on family, because a lot of questions I asked, because I was thinking about going into coaching, had some coaching opportunities. Sat Sanders, great Boston Celtics, was in charge of the NBA coaches, helping players transition from playing into the coaching world of the NBA. And he used to call me every single year about coaching, right? But when I spoke to guys who were coaches, Phil Jackson, George Call, Bill Musselman, and I talked about all those.
Those are legends.
Yeah, when I talked to them about, tell me about coaching experience, right? They talked about like family, like not seeing their kids starting to walk or graduating from elementary school or attending anything, with their kids. All of a sudden they woke up one day, and their kids was like grown. And so their relationship wasn't good, in terms of, and I was like, man, I don't know if I want that career, because I already missed that part, right? And as we was talking about my dad earlier, I think my dad seen me play, and I played a lot, but
Yeah.
my dad only seen me play one time.
Albany Patrón.
Yeah, in my career, right? And I was like, man, do I want that, or do I want to experience my kids growing, seeing them walk, seeing them say their first words, graduating from school. And so I made a shift myself from the world of coaching into eventually becoming the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club in Mount Vernon. So for me, family and my children, my children was number one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want you to see this comment that your sister-in-law put up, because I'm sure it will make you laugh when you see it. She said Lois Moore Jr. was ready to be a father. I still remember him sucking mucus out of Michelle Maynard's mouth when she was choking. Boy, he was serious about his baby.
Oh no, that was nasty. But I wasn't even thinking, cause I think Mima,
Gave her some water.
yeah, and she choked, right? And she choked, and it ended up like I suck it out, and everybody like, what'd you do with yours? And I was like,
I saw.
yeah, that was nasty. But hey, I thought I was saving my daughter's life. So Hey, a daddy got to do what a daddy got to do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
That look at that.
and that's the crew. That's the four: Michelle, Sherelle, Lozy, Isaiah. Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, yeah,
And then you raise your kids, you get them up, and one of the dreams you have is that, I remember when our girls were like turning, I think, 16, and you made it important for them. We did like vows of chastity, right? And we did something for their sweet 16. You want to tell everybody what we did for their sweet 16 and how you represented as a father?
well, we gave them rings, right? I don't know what the rings are, but we gave them rings to let them know that you know that there was a time, and this time that they're in right now is a time of growth and development and maturity, and then somewhere down the road they're going to meet someone, right? And then you know sharing that partnership. But until then, this is a reminder of you know the
So
kind of things that should happen to you.
so meet someone, they did.
Yeah, of course they
And
did.
and so there you are,
Yeah.
giving away the vows of chastity. Well,
Right.
whatever. It might have been years later, but
Yeah, yeah,
you know what I mean. It's
yeah.
like one of the things you wanted your daughters to understand was the importance of finding a really good man,
Right.
right? And so there you are as a dad walking your two princesses down the aisle, and I tell you what, that those were amazing days for both of us. But look at you smiling up a storm with your girls, and you let them go, and you let Michelle go to this guy,
Yeah, Dakari.
Dakari and Michelle,
Yeah.
on July 4th, 2019. And then you let Sherelle go to this guy, whose birthday is today, Steve Pogue. And so you did a good job of you raising your daughters so that they would find good, strong men.
Yeah, I mean that you know what when everybody when you see that article, we can go back to that article. No, you don't have to go back there, but
This
when you
one?
go back, yeah, when you go back to that article, right? Everybody, even the article says, we can't wait for you to have children. I mean, so everybody was thinking like, man, we're gonna have these two athletic, talented people are gonna have these amazing athletes, right? And but yet we set a standard, right? And sometimes the standard is so high, you're like, oh wow, you Lowe's and Patrice's or Patrice and Lowe's children. Oh man, so the expectation is totally different. So when as a man, right, I was trying to set an example, right, of what a man should be and what a husband should be and what a father should be. So if your kids see that, right, and then I think they when they're looking for their partner, right, and they measuring them by your father, is sometimes the expectations are high, right? And so trying to find your daddy or trying to find your dad in the man, right? It could be difficult sometimes. I
Yeah.
mean,
But you
yeah,
know what? Because you were such a solid father, they didn't have to search for a father, just had to search for a man.
yeah,
And that says a lot. I want to say that again. Because you were such a good father, they didn't have to search for a father. They just had to search for a man.
right.
And they both found good men who, by the way, had good fathers. Dakari had a good father, and Steve has a good father. So, that was a good thing for them. So then they bring you to the next level of your life. And look at here, look at here. Who is
Yeah,
that? You get you a little grandson, and then you get you a whole crew,
yeah, no.
right?
It's interesting.
Then you get another one. I
Yeah,
mean, look at here. You have just blossomed to a whole nother level. You've got your granddaddy thing, pop going all the way in. I tell you, now that was a paradigm shift.
yeah, that was definitely a paradigm shift. And yeah, no, I mean, no, this is an awesome time, right? This is an awesome time in your life. You spending time with your grandkids. I always say I want to grow up be like my mom, right? Because she number one, she's seeing her kids. She got grandkids. She got great grandkids. And here's the thing: you seeing them not only graduate high school, but you get to see them graduate college.
Right. Get married, have
Yeah,
children.
yeah, get married, have children, man. Yeah, you want to.
Wait, and check this out. And still be in your right mind. Your mom is making cakes, hanging out. We're going to see her later on today.
Yeah.
She got it going on. Love that lady, man. Woo.
Yeah, yeah.
Goodness.
So yeah, those are the things, and you can't put that out your mind that this is possible. This is possible to see all these things happen.
I
So.
want to shift really quickly because I have 30 minutes. So I've got 15 minutes to talk a little bit about your basketball career. And then I want you to talk a little bit about the 7 spheres of influence. And then we're going to let these folks go and we're going to go and do an installation. That sound good to you?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I want to say congratulations. You're going to be installed as assistant pastor today at 12 o'clock. So
Don't say more because my stomach is already jacked up and I got to finish the show. I got work to do. All right, let's talk a little bit about your basketball career. Mount Vernon High School, West Virginia University. Talk a little bit about that.
well, I think to start out, I already mentioned how I wrote down, wanting to be a NBA player, and you're in the 6th grade, and the Knicks win a championship, and the research after that, like, what do you have to do, and so, yeah, you got to get on a basketball team, right? And so my situation started at the boys club, boys club of Mount Vernon, Southside Boys Club, getting cut from a basketball team and going over to the other side, Northside Boys Club, and getting put on a team by Calvin Jones, who was my first coach for one game. That's how it started. One game, Calvin Jones.
That's all that he needed.
Yeah, he sent me to his brother James Jones, coach Jimmy Jones, and he was a lover of the Boston Celtics, and he treated us like we were professionals at 11, 12 years old. I mean, and he instilled some stuff inside of many of us, and his expectations for us was so amazing. And he instilled from the mental perspective of the game to the physical perspective of the game. And which was interesting because most of us are taught from the physical side. But he started out with books and sayings and meditations and all these kind of things, so that we would grasp it mentally first, and then then physically. And the other thing that was later on in my career with Mr. Jones was that his paradigm shift and my paradigm shift was actually getting saved. So it made it spiritual, mental, and physical. Right.
So you go on, and then you go to just talk a little bit about from there to Mount Vernon High School, West Virginia.
Yeah. I mean, you just know you want to play pro basketball, but you don't know how you're going to get there. And I've had some moments in my life, like I was in middle school when Al McGuire, the great Marquette coach,
Yes.
was recruiting Earl Tatum. Right, Earl Tatum. I was in the middle school, and our gym teacher was the high school basketball coach, and Al McGuire came down to our middle school to talk to the coach, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I was playing in the gym, and he asked the gym teacher if he could speak to me, and so he brought me over. And he said, "Hey, my name is Coach Al McGuire. I'm recruiting Earl Tatum. If you do well in school, right? If you do well in school, I'm going to come back and recruit you."
Nice.
And so that was something that stirred something inside of me. He did. Yeah. Marquette did recruit me.
Okay.
Right. I don't know that he was still a coach then, he recruited me, but some other things got in the way. But
Yeah,
I had
some of the things like West Virginia.
yeah, West Virginia
They
got in
call
the
it
way.
Press
Yeah,
Virginia now.
yeah. But I tell you, I had a wonderful high school career. I had some people in front of me, Ray Williams. I had Sam Williams in front of me. I had the whole history of Mount Vernon with, the Earl Tatum's and the Rudy Hackett's and the Rudy Bennett's and all those great guys. And then, playing at that level, being able to work out with Gus and Earl and all those guys growing up made me a better player. And then I got an opportunity to get a scholarship to go to West Virginia, right? And my freshman year, I played really, really well my freshman year. And I actually played against Norm Nixon, who I hope to have on the blueprint soon.
Oh,
Yeah, I've been talking to him for a few weeks. And Norm was a senior, I was a freshman. And so it ended up, man, after this, after a game and after the season, they had asked Norm Nixon who was the best player he played against in college. And he said me, and I was a freshman. Right. And so it was interesting. And after my game against Norm Nixon, people would ask me the question, well, like, how could you do this as a freshman? How can you be this good as a freshman? Right. And I told him I started to think about like all the guys I worked out with, all the guys I played. I said, when you play against Gus, Ray, Earl, Sam, right, why would I fear Norm Nixon? I mean, why would I fear any player when I thought I've already played against the best? So working out with those guys every summer, competing with those guys every summer, excuse me, caused me to accelerate my game and ultimately getting drafted into the NBA.
and so you went to West Virginia. You're now in the West Virginia University Hall of Fame. You had a bus. They gave it to us, but you had a bus. West Virginia University Hall of Fame. It was pretty awesome day. You leave from West Virginia and you get, if I'm not mistaken, third team All American.
Yeah.
Third team All American. It said scored over 1,600 points at West Virginia University. Averaged crazy points, dunking like, yeah, saw it in the highlights. I remember. I don't remember you playing at West Virginia so much, but I remember you bringing Linda home and having her play with us. And Linda, for those who don't know, was Loz's fiance before I became his fiance. But she was
Can't tell it all.
I know, but she was a pretty awesome ball player.
Yes.
And a very nice young lady. But she didn't get you. I did. Anyhow, but you really did a great job, overall. And made Mount Vernon proud as a West Virginia University standout.
Oh, thanks.
Get picked in the third round
Yeah.
by the New Jersey Nets.
Yeah.
So your book, from the Boys Club to the NBA, this is the culmination of Calvin Jones, James Jones, all the way now to West Virginia, from Calvin Jones, James Jones, Mount Vernon High School, West Virginia University. Finally, you've pinnacled at the NBA.
Yes.
What was that like?
Well, it was a dream. It was a dream come true. I mean, actually, it was at the tail end of some guys I looked up to. Of some of their careers. Some were in the prime of their career. It was amazing, man, to be on the court with Dr. J and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, just so many great players that you looked up to. Nate Tiny Archibald. I mean, I was there. Now you had to prove you could stay there. And then you realize something about basketball that, as you transition from high school into college, it's more business like, and it's not like when you played at the boys club. Right. I mean, that fun, that love. Yeah, I love to work out. I love to compete. I love to win. I hate to lose. Right. And so, then it's finding, like, I found the right place in West Virginia to produce. and then I was looking for the right team, and I thought I was with the right team with the Nets, but couldn't find that niche, that right place to be where somebody could allow who would appreciate you and what you bring to the table in regards to their organization and their team. Somebody dedicated, somebody will come to practice early, leave late, want to win. I realized that not everybody when I was in the league wanted to win, or wanted to be dedicated.
Just happy
like
to
that.
be there. Some people
Well,
are
yeah,
just happy
they
to
were
be
happy
there.
to be there. You know, I couldn't accept losing, so it was a tough. I was there for 3 years. You know, playing in a league I loved, playing the game I loved, and but for me, it didn't personally work out long term. Although I believe I had the potential to win an NBA championship and to be a Hall of Famer.
And I think it was because you ended up playing on teams that were not successful. So as a result, the name doesn't kind of carry because of that. Like you've got players that are playing on teams now that you don't even know, but because they played for the Warriors when they won the chip and the Lakers when they won the chip, and somebody brings them on the team because they see them as winners, right?
Right.
So, but you leave there and you end up going to the CBA. Now, this was one of my curiosity questions as, how many folks of color do you know live in Billings, Montana?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah,
but,
boy, you lived in Billings,
and I got messed
Montana.
up on that. My agent called me and said, "Hey, man, I think the best route to go, the best plan is to go to the CBA, to go to Billings, Montana." And I was thinking Malibu. I'm like, I'm going to California. And then I get off in this little town called Billings. I see some tumbleweeds and if you look real far out there was mountains as far as you could see, and they were snow-capped mountains out there. And then, I was really in Native American land. I mean, yeah, that was crazy.
So I remember you said, I don't know which show we did, and you were talking about how when you went to West Virginia and your mom and them left, and you like called your mom and said, I want to go home.
Yeah.
You must have felt the same way when you went to Billings, Montana.
Hey, literally, there was a Holiday Inn there, and there was nothing else there. And we practiced on an Indian reservation.
That's crazy.
And I did not want to be there. I hated it. And
did you win the MVP in the All-Star game that year or something? I remember seeing
I
you
was
play
in the All-Star game.
You had like 20-something points.
I was in the CBA All-Star game. And it ended up that I was in the CBA All-Star game, and we played the day before the NBA All-Star game
in New York.
Yep, at the Meadowlands.
At Meadowlands,
right? Yeah. And so I played in the CBA All-Star game, and next day was the NBA All-Star game.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there. Definitely was there.
I was in high school.
But I mean that was an experience, man. The CBA was a totally experience. You have to be really dedicated. It was a great experience for me, personally. But
what you mean Jackson Hole, Wyoming? You even been to Wyoming? Listen, Paul Sherrill, stop it. Y'all be going to these places that folks ain't supposed to be at.
Well, CBA team had Wyoming. Yeah. We had a team in Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, Alaska.
Yeah.
I missed out because the year before not that I wanted to be there because I was in the league, but they had a team in Hawaii too as well.
Then you go to the Albany Patroons.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot more success there, and it was a little closer to home.
Yes. Albany, New York, CBA, Albany Patroons. The head coach is Phil Jackson. I mean, I get traded from Billings, Montana to Albany. And let me say this, man, because it's a crazy business, right? I actually, before I got picked up to go to Cleveland from Billings, I went to Cleveland Cavaliers, right? Before I got picked up. And let me tell you this, I wanted to go home, right? I hated being there. And the coach, he was like, I don't know why I even brought you out here. Right. And it was crazy. Literally the next day, he was going to send me home. The next day he said, look,
Wow.
tomorrow I'm going to cut you, right? I said, I don't care. I'm going home. I mean, the only thing that was exciting out there was I was in Holiday Inn watching BET, Video Soul.
That's what the guy with the light eyes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, Donnie Simpson.
Donnie Simpson. Like
That was the only.
yes.
I get back to my hotel and watch Video Soul. That's why I just did not want to be there, right? And that night, I knew I was going home the next day because I knew he was just tired of me. That night, the guy who was starting in front of me, the point guard from Puerto Rico, he twisted his ankle bad. So he looked down the bench because you only could carry 9 players. Right? He looked down the bench. It wasn't nobody else down there but me. Right? So he looks down the bench. He said, I guess I got to put you in. I said, well, I'm about to show you something like that. And I go out and I get a quadruple double.
Wow.
Yeah, I balled out. Then he was like, hey, man, how you doing? Next morning, he was like, you good? I was like, yeah, but playing, being able to show him the will to win. And I was there with Marlon Redmond and Clay Johnson. Marlon Redmond, University of San Francisco with Bill Cartwright. Marlon Redmond was with them as well. We had a Sam Clancy. We had an NBA team in the CBA.
Squad.
Yeah, we had a team. We did. I left and went to Cleveland after that, but that was just just a great experience.
So all of this culminates in, you live in Albany, you come back home, and you work at the Boys and Girls Club. Now, I remember this very well. You were really loving the Boys and Girls Club, and we came back quite a few times, did a lot of stuff. You interview, and they don't hire you. I never forget that drive back to Albany when they didn't offer you the job, and I never saw you. I saw you cry when your grandfather died, but that was the next time that I saw you cry. You cried all the way from Mount Vernon to Albany, New York, because you could not understand how they didn't hire you. I remember saying to you, if it's the Lord's will, it'll happen. And you kind of sucked it up, and we made it home. And 6 months later, they called you. And it's been a 27-year journey all the way till March 2020. I know you'll always have the Boys and Girls Club in your heart. But here we are today in the podcast. And the podcast was birthed. And before I do that, I want, if you can give me 2 minutes of a different curiosity conversation. Can you, before we go, because I want to close out with the 7 spheres of influence, curiosity question. How does basketball bring you to Ireland?
How does basketball bring me to Ireland? One of the coaches, Mount Vernon coaches, coached my brother Curtis, Tony Frantino. And every year, Tony Frantino, who, as you know, was a color commentator for a coach when the Miami Heat first started, and then he ended up being a color commentator for the Miami Heat, and still working as their basketball operations guy and hosting their clinics and different things like summer camps and stuff like that. So Tony calls me and says, hey, Lowe's, I can't make it. I can't make it to this camp. Would you take my place? Would you like to go? I said, where's the camp? He said, Ireland. I said, Ireland. And so that's how that came about. Tony spoke to the people in Ireland, and of course both of us went out.
Yes.
And spent the week.
Yes.
And spent the week and our anniversary in Ireland.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And Kilkenny.
Yes. That was pretty cool though, man. It was green. I never seen it green. It would rain for no reason. I mean,
and it was light at midnight. We had to force ourselves to go to bed because the sun was shining. We're like, dude, why is it bright at midnight? We walk into the store at 11:30 at night. We're like, we're gonna be jacked up in the morning.
Yeah,
and we were. So yeah. All right. I just wanted to check that out. Curiosity conversation. A couple of more pictures. Who's that right there?
That's Denzel.
What? Wait, hold up.
That's when we were young.
I'm young.
And we had a lot of hair.
I once was young, now I'm old. But I ain't never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Look at here.
Leon Denzel when he did the when he was a lawyer that had the autism.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
His
his
mom.
mom, that was at the Mount Vernon Hospital dinner.
His mom used to call you her son.
Yes.
Anytime they would want to do an interview with Denzel, they would say call. She would say
Yeah.
call Lowe's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have had some time
That's at
together.
the in Orlando at the National Boys and Girls Club Conference.
Wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys have had some pictures, and it's great. So you come along and you do this podcast, and I wanted to show one other picture because this picture just indicative of what we really want to re-promote, which is you had a book signing a while back, and this was your book signing, and for the from the boys club to the NBA, and I just wanted to post that book is still available. If people would like to get that book, it's still available on Amazon. And so, I'm gonna just leave that rolling on the scroll below. That if people want to purchase Lowe's More from the Boys and Girls Club to the NBA, it's a great story. And I was proud of you then. I continue to be proud of you. But you started the blueprint based on the 7 spheres of influence. Can you help us with that again? I'm going to post the picture because I think it's important for people to know where that came from, and just talk a little bit about that before we close out, please.
Yeah. And then we're gonna do a relaunch of the book soon. And well, the 7 spheres of influence. I mean, when I was in college, as a person of faith in college, there was Campus Crusades for Christ,
Right.
right? I don't know if many of you remember the Campus Crusade. And Bill Bright started a ministry of Campus Crusade for Christ. He had a vision of ministry, and along with another gentleman, he was meeting for lunch the next day. God gave him a vision, and he gave Bill Bright a vision. The next morning, when they met for lunch, right? When they met for lunch, they both said, "Hey, the Lord gave me a vision," and the Lord gave them both the vision, right?
Okay.
And so, as they shared the vision with each other, it was called 7 mountains,
Okay.
right? So, and 7 spheres of influence. And so they was like, in order to bring Christ to people, right? What better way than college campuses, right? Because on the college campuses, people are going into spheres of influence.
Yeah. There's a lot of people whose lives changed as a result of being in college. Some for the good, some for the not so good.
Right. So, I mean, and I used to go to Campus Crusade
Okay.
when I was in college. And so think about it. You got people that are going in ministry in the church. That's one sphere, right? You got people that are going into family situations, which is counseling, social work, psychology, right? When you think about family, right? You're thinking about like health, all those different things. That's a sphere of influence. And people are going to college to get into that career, that field. And then you got people going into education. You got people going into government and law, politics. You got people going into media, right? That's a sphere of influence. You got people, the sphere of influence I was in, right? I was in was sports, arts, and entertainment.
Yes.
Denzel's in the sphere of influence of the arts and entertainment, right? And then
But
there's
you're also
business
in
and
the
finance.
sphere of family because you have
I'm in,
family.
well, you
right?
can be in multiple spheres of influence,
Yes.
right? Like I'm in I'm in the church, I'm in the family, I'm in sports, arts, and entertainment, I'm in business.
Yes.
So you can find yourselves. But as I wrote in my book, right, and this was key, that God gives you gifts,
Yes.
right? And those gifts are for a purpose, right? And the purpose is to go into your sphere of influence with those gifts and impact it,
Right.
right? So ministry, I always say in the first sphere in terms of the church or spirituality, right? Most people think the church is always, this is my opinion, the church is always trying to get people from those spheres of influence to come into the sphere of the church, right? And they want them to stay in that sphere. But Jesus was saying for us to go. So our responsibility as the church is to equip people who have gifts
Right.
and purpose, equip them with a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ, equip them with the word, right? So that they can manifest the fruit of the Spirit
Yes.
and manifest the seven spheres of God and take those things back into your sphere of influence, your gifting, your purpose, your assignment, take them, go back in them like as I did, and use my gifts to be able to represent God as Denzel does, as I did, as as many people who go into politics to represent God. I mean, to impact that sphere of influence. They go into education, become principals, so they can take God into that experience.
I remember when you preached your trial sermon, it was called Infiltrating the Camp.
Yeah, well,
And that was really a powerful message because you talked about the fact that we've got to be able to go to certain places and represent who God is. And sometimes you can't always, shout the horn. You have to go in like a dove, right? You have to kind of go in quietly like a dove and a lamb, but still spread your light. And you've done that in so many ways.
well, it's overt. It's overt ministry.
Covert.
No, it's overt.
Overt.
Overt is when people know, like the church. You go to church, you know what they're going to preach in the church, right? So it's overt ministry, right? I know I'm letting you know I'm a Christian. I'm letting you know you need to get saved. I'm that all those kind of things, right? But covert, right, is I go in secretly, I go in quietly, right? And it's not what I say, right? People say, "Oh, you need to get saved. You need to do this," and then they act a certain way, right? But when you go in covertly, you're not saying anything. You're living it, and so people are seeing you live the lifestyle, the Christ-like lifestyle. See you manifest love and kindness and gentleness, the fruit of the Spirit, right? See you come up with strategic plans that God has given you, right? And coming up with inventions. Witty inventions, yeah, and impact that sphere of influence with it, like Daniel and the three Hebrew boys, right? They wasn't blasting God, but when the king needed something, they called on them.
Daniel.
Like Daniel, you call them to interpret the dreams and set up plans, strategic plans.
Yo,
at the end
the
of
king
the day.
was so good. The king didn't even ask Daniel to interpret the dream. He told him to tell him what the dream was. Right? Daniel had to tell him what the dream was and then tell him what the dream meant. Right? Which was powerful because that's when the dream was like, look, the king was like, it ain't about that. So he had to have a strategy. Listen.
So let me say this last thing.
Okay.
With that, to add to that, is that when you go in covertly, when you go live a life, right, where people start to see God and you start to manifest God and you start to manifest that light, right, people will recognize, like the king recognized in Daniel, he said, your God is God.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Listen, after those lions didn't eat Daniel, but ate everybody that...
You got the fiery
and the
furnace.
family, yeah, you got the fiery furnace and the interpret. It was no. Listen, we could go crazy over Daniel because I just finished studying Daniel, so it's pretty awesome. Anyway, we got to run. We got a great big day today, and man, this was exciting. I think you need to come back on the show again. What do you think? I mean, I think we need to do a whole nother show on you. Maybe I got an idea. Maybe for the 4th anniversary show, I come back and interview you again.
Okay.
Because we're at that place that you've really done such a phenomenal job. And we got to go. We got something to do today. It's a little something. Tomorrow our baby.
Been in store.
Yeah, so there's something going on today. So we need to run. But we love you all. As Lowe's would always say, God gives you another day, right? He said, make it your masterpiece, and so today we are painting and we're making masterpieces out of the day. We hope you enjoyed hearing about Lowe's Moore and who he is. He's pretty awesome. I think so. Anyway, 40 years of being, the man of my dreams. Hey, we have some folks coming to us really soon. I'm gonna just kind of put this up really quickly so that I think Lowe's has secured somebody from Lowe's. I think you said it's from the Negro Hall of Fame, Baseball
No,
Hall of Fame, or
well, the Negro League.
the Negro League.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's Reginald Howard from the Negro League. He's a Negro League baseball player.
He looks like the dude Al Roker. Like,
Yeah, he got a new book out. He's coming on November the 19th. He's in his 90s, clear. I mean, yeah, he's up there. But he was a little kid doing Bat Boy and stuff like that. But yeah.
all right. Well, thank you again for coming to the show. Thank you, me, for hosting the show. It's pretty awesome. We're going to close out today. We hope you all share this again on Sunday night, which is our normal time. And we'll be checking out any comments that come then. We hope you have a blessed and mighty awesome day. Thank you again, Lowe's Moore.
You're welcome.
And we are almost out of time, but only for the show. We still got more time to go for the day. I see Anthony Judge joined us today. It was good to see you, Elder. Truly, God is blessed just to have you in our family. So thank God for each and every one of you. Have a wonderful and blessed day.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's Moore, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's Moore and on Facebook at Lowe's Moore Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.